We are talking about integrating wellness into corporate and nonprofit cultures. Welcome to Wellness in Every Season. We talk all things wellness to help you align yourself, align with your goals, find balance in your life, and just recalibrate yourself. If you are listening for the first time, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And let's get started in the rest of the podcast. And today we have Bernie Youngblood with us. Can you tell us about your background?
Oh, sure. Love to. Been looking forward to this podcast. I think what you're doing is important.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess we'll refer to myself as an accidental serial entrepreneur. I've done quite a few exits. I'm on number 8 in terms of businesses. I've begun for profits and nonprofits. If I see something that needs to be released into the world, I will grab hold of it and shepherd it over the line because many things in this world do not make sense. A few of them should be good. It's been quite a journey, some 30 years that I've been on. Mostly the work I do is in marketing, and the emphasis I've placed in these efforts is supporting work that is in defense of women's rights, children's rights, or engaged in the fight against human trafficking. That's where most of my nonprofit work goes. But mostly it's focused on releasing beauty into the world where it is so desperately missing, which of course is everywhere nowadays. That's something that's my passion. If I must put a finger on it, that's how I would describe it.
Oh, he is a Christian, but you could also have a little bit of a potty mouth. So could I. So
Yes.
we already connected that way. So I will make sure that this is family friendly. He will try too. So we'll get this together. In the beginning, we talked about spiritual wellness and how for many people who are religious, they can forget that there's the rest of the circle they need to fill. If you're thinking about a pie, you talked about releasing beauty in the world. How does that work with your spiritual wellness and filling that void?
Oh, that's my favorite question of all. I believe we've all been granted gifts, right? Depending on which God you pray to, if we are fortunate to discover what those gifts are, it is our obligation to share them with the world. I believe that is what was intended. The reason we don't have a cure for cancer yet is not because we're not smart enough, but because the individual with that gift has not discovered a way to share it. And if we want to discuss the age of AI and the burdens it will place upon us, I think that's going to be a key point of leverage. AI, based on the sum total of human knowledge, is derivative by definition. I don't believe it will feed the soul. If we are to find our role in this new age, it must come from within, right? Whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, I believe it'll come from those gifts. AI does not bring gifts into the world. We are the ones intended. We are the one tasked with that role. So that's how I would approach it.
You are leading to my next question.
I'm living rent free in your mind.
Yeah, apparently. We talked about social media, and he was asking me if I was on all of the different platforms and in what way. I think this goes exactly with what you were just saying, because we can be so busy watching what other people are doing and spending so much time scrolling and seeing how others live their filtered version of their life. How do you keep from watching everybody else and really tune in with yourself and see what needs are there in the world that I can provide and that light up my passion?
I think you're asking the right questions. The short answer is move slower in order to do more. The challenge we're facing right now is social media is still so new, Facebook and such, around the turn of the millennium. I think social media is still a teenager. It's still in its early days. Many technologies take decades before people really discover what they're intended for, right? What their best use could be. So social media is still fairly new. As a culture, we are still trying to figure out what it is. Every social media, I use them all. I'm an old man. I shouldn't, but I do. I use them all. And I'm here to tell you they all suck. They all suck equally. The tech stacks are all broken. They're all horrible, doom scrolling, all the things. 100%, no question. However, I can tell you, as a marketing executive, I am looking forward to the beauty they will release into the world. One hint of that comes from this concept of transparency. Now, bad actors are being revealed. If you're a big executive making bad decisions, you're thrust upon the world stage and you're held to account. Now, by the same token, there's plenty of pain being inflicted by bad actors, particularly in respect to children, and we have to have controls over parents have to find means by which they can control how their children consume this media. But I'm looking forward to the next 10 years to see what social media will release into the world. There are many bad actors out there, and I love watching them being held to account. Now, just by way of example, there's this Coldplay is no longer a name for a band. Everybody knows what Coldplay means now, and I feel bad for all those involved, but I love it because we need more of that. That's one reason I'm excited about social media, notwithstanding all of its obvious challenges.
I think, and with all good things, there's bad, and with bad things, there's good. And one good thing that I like about social media is that it holds people to accountability a lot more. There are people who would have a harder time rising to fame for the right reasons without social media. And we have using AI, and now there's so much knowledge at our fingertips, we don't know what to do with it. And we've become kind of lazy. My daughter was asking me when we were driving home from the grocery store earlier today, how many airbags are in this car and where are they? Just plug it into the AI that's incorporated in the car. Okay, how many airbags are there? Well, in this model, like, no. Our model's this one. How many airbags? Where are they? My 8-year-old's asking, so have it at her level. And the AI was able to tell her. I also like that it doesn't sound robotic. It has inflection in the voice, which is so fun. Just simple things like that. I feel like I've become lazy from it. My children, I notice, are even lazier because they're not looking it up in a dictionary to spell words. Ask Alexa. I had to make sure she wasn't going to be activated in here. Or finding out about the weather. We don't really go outside to check anymore. We can just check on our smart devices. And for some math skills, we can use that. It's funny because I remember my uncle in particular, he would give me grief because I'd pull out a calculator to do math. And he's like, well, here, try this slide rule. It's very interesting. First time I tried one. But we forget that with all of this knowledge, we still need to tune in with ourselves. And that is what was coming up for me with the things that you've been saying. So let's dive deeper into that. How do we really tune into ourselves, especially when maybe we're a little bit like you and we have all of these ideas and we're not sure which one to choose first? How do we even get there?
You're asking all the right questions. What I believe is going to happen right now, social media is horrifically generic. Facebook and Instagram and TikTok.
Really, it's the
Yes.
same content.
They think they're all competing for the same audience. I believe that's not what's intended.
No.
There was any number of examples. You could choose The Matrix, you can choose Foundation. Apple's most recent television series based on the book, Isaac Asimov book, Foundation, describes a girl on a planet that, I don't know if you're familiar with the background of the story, but describes a girl on a planet that completely rejects technology. But she's able to get a hold of a few books on math. Because she has a passion for math, she dives into these books and she becomes the preeminent scholar on math. She wins this competition and turns out she's the best living mathematician known, right? And she comes from a planet that completely rejects technology and math as well. Where I believe we're headed, and we don't have to talk about the current education system, which has some challenges when we give children like your daughter the ability to do a deep dive on airbags, right? Or math, or history, or take your pick. We give them the ability through these algorithms that are coming, right? The trouble with most of social media today is it prioritizes sensationalism and puppy dogs. No matter what it is, if it's sensation, kids jumping skateboards off of roofs or puppy dogs, goes right to the top. Our fascination with that will fade. And as additional platforms come up that can be incorporated within educational systems that allow individuals who have specific passions or interests to absorb, I'll use the Matrix analogy of being able to learn Kung Fu in 8 minutes, but are able to absorb what would have taken decades previously, a mountain of content in a single month, and become experts in those fields will be extraordinary. We have that technology is at our fingertips. Our capitalist system is trying to figure out how best to deploy them. Rest assured, as soon as they can monetize anything around it, they'll do it. And I think it will unleash an incredible amount of power within our current models, particularly for this younger generation that is so thirsty for knowledge.
I've always had a thirst for knowledge, but I've been afraid of it until I went back to school with my oldest, and then I could not quench it. I was that nerd in school that figured out how to use the library properly, and then it all switched to computer.
Yes.
I still have that knowledge in my head. Can I get rid of it? Can something else go in there? My oldest very much has that type of mentality, and we are deep diving into robotics and all of that type of stuff for him. And I think that's important for parents to remember. Even if they have their children in secular schools, you can and you should be supplementing at home. What interest do your children have? For my daughter, she is all about animals. So we are going to deep dive into that. My oldest, it's robotics. My youngest, it's sports cars. My third kid, we're still figuring out, and he kind of pendulums. So whatever the topic is of the month. For me, I did not have that because my dad was very much of the type that's going to cost money. What you're talking about is that it doesn't have to cost money. If you are struggling with what things are your children interested in, you can even use YouTube. And there are channels, and I went to ChatGPT to find them. I'll have a list for you guys at some other point. But you can find people who have channels that are all about the background of careers. Like, have you ever wondered what it takes to put out an album? What happens in the background? I mean, yes, there's the people who like Taylor Swift, but what is happening in the background for her album? Who are those people? For me, I'd always like being behind the curtains. I'd rather be those people. That's why I like coaching. I want that person to shine, but I want to be the person in the background helping them. If you're ever interested, you can go back in history for this, like Ford Motor Company. Who was around for him that helped inspire him once he started working on this stuff? What all comes into building a Mustang nowadays? There are channels that go through all of this stuff. So we don't have to do the dirty work of reading all the textbooks. There's people who've already done it. We don't have to reinvent the wheel, which is what I really like about nowadays. And we can develop our own passions even as adults. We talk so much about children, our society does, about children and helping them find their passion. But the best way we can help them find their passion is if we're finding ours and then encouraging them to find theirs along the way. And you guys can share back and forth as you're doing that. I've found that very helpful with my family, at least, with going back to school, learning about the human body. And as my children would ask, I would share with them bits of my textbook. I might have to cover some of the pictures along the way because they're very young. But I think we forget that we can use this knowledge in a very healing and healthy way. It doesn't have to be a, okay, well, I learned it next type of idea.
Yeah, the education system, as we all know, was designed from the German system to educate workers to be able to operate lines in a factory. And butcher, baker, candlestick maker, those are your choices, take your pick. But that's what we had. But we all, most of us, I think, recognize, we need to move past that.
Yeah.
And this generation coming up, our children, well, they're not having it. So they're dropping out. But as I suggest, we have the technologies at our fingertips to leverage these things, to allow kids to pursue their passions. And as I tell people, if you have any doubt about whether or not we should take these risks, Well, just take a look at the world around us. Are you happy with where we are today? You know, we've worked, depending on which God you pray to, either 3,000 or 30,000 or 300,000 years to get to this point. Are you happy? Think we're doing great? If you think we're doing great, then just keep doing the same darn thing. But if we're not doing really great, and we should be, there are more slaves in the world today, right now, this day, in case you wondered how well we're doing. People are enslaved to do work, to do any number of terrible things. The argument would be maybe we should start changing just a few things. And our kids are going to help us do it because they're behind this. They're all in on this deal. They see what's coming and they're ready to embrace it. It's really old guys like me that are holding us back, and shame on us.
I'm at that age now where I use an iPhone and there's such a huge update that nothing is where I'm used to it being.
Yes.
And it's for the younger generation. And it's making me realize I get it now. Why the people older than me, the older generations, just got to a point where I don't care about technology anymore. I think that's where we need to come to that middle ground because we are so stuck on technology that we're not forming the human connections. It was interesting being at Thanksgiving and seeing how many people had their phone out. And I have been working really hard this year. If it's not in the same room with me and I realize it's been a while, I'm like, okay, where's my phone? So it's still an addiction, but I was able to put it on Do Not Disturb and put it away. I was asked a question that I needed my phone out for. And I'm like, you know what? I'll tell you later. It was a really good feeling, but seeing that other people, their addiction, and they had to pull out their phones, like, huh, interesting. Okay. What can I do? Not judging them, but using that to judge myself. What can I do to continue this and to make sure that I am connecting with them because they pulled out their phone because I wasn't connecting with them. Let's be honest, I was zoning out. What can we do to remember these things, to pull ourselves back in, to be more in tune?
Yeah.
Because we have been trained for so long to tune out. Even in school, let's go back to that. When we're done with our work, we were raised to just tune out, not talk to other people. You can grab a book if you want, but don't be so invested in your book that you're not paying attention when it's time to pay attention again to the teacher. I was that student, in case you're wondering, with the book. Autumn, come on, come back to
And if you
class.
talk to someone, you're punished.
Yeah. We have been raised factory worker style with school. But being a parent with 4 children, it makes sense. I still factory worker parent because it's easier. And then I take time out and I'm intentional when I'm spending time with each child. That's why I had just my daughter and I when we went grocery shopping this morning. It was last minute groceries, so it wasn't like a full thing. It was like sour cream. Then my husband told me after the fact, so I had to circle back to a different grocery store that was closer and get flour for her cupcakes, her birthday.
On Black Friday.
People were
kudos-
really around. It was great.
Kudos to you for having the mental fortitude to begin that journey.
Yeah, it was the grocery store. There weren't that many people around. Honestly, I wonder how many people really go out for Black Friday now that we could do it all online.
Retailers certainly want us to. But you raise an important issue. Too many people have tuned out. I think a lot of that is due to a decline in what scientists describe as neuroplasticity. We neglect our nutrition, our fitness, and our sleep. And they're scratching their heads. We don't know what causes Alzheimer's. This reduction in good brain health causes us to tune out. I don't accept it. I tell older folks like myself, if you want a survival guide for the age of AI, get uncomfortable, stay uncomfortable. And I'll add an addendum to it. Stop complaining. 60's the new 40, 80's the new. You're going to be here for a little while longer. Enjoy the ride. We need to stop taking our own excuses.
You hit on 2 very important parts. I've read a book that I love. It's my latest Bible, my non-scripture Bible. It's The Success Principles. His first principle, I think it's the first one or the first couple in there, it's stop complaining. And it's by Jack Canfield, anybody who wants the book. And then the other one is we are going to be living longer than we ever have. We have the science to back that up. We have so much data, so many studies. Are we going to live longer with dementia, with Alzheimer's, with different disabilities, with a cane, with the walker? That's the word that I was trying to come up with. Or are we going to be able to still be that feisty person that has all of our mental capacity, that is not wearing a diaper, that does not really need a caregiver,
It's
and
hard.
could be your own interpretation of needing one? For me, I still want someone to check up on me, like somebody around, because there will be bone loss, but I still plan on exercising and weightlifting. I know what things I need to do because science has told us time and time again what we need to be doing. We tend to be so consumer driven that we are looking for the latest and greatest and not realizing that it's things as simple as going out and spending some time outside, even if the weather's crappy, when we first get up in the morning. That was the first piece of advice given to me when my health started to tank, is because I finally have gotten to a point where I can calm my nervous system. I've been at so much stress my entire life. Once I lowered that, my body's like, oh, and here's all this other stuff that you need to take care of. So her first thing, the functional medicine nurse I'm working with, spend time in the morning, 10 to 15 minutes in the morning. I have not gotten up that amount of time. It's about 5 minutes right now, but it has been making a difference.
Yeah.
And it's a nice reminder of, oh, I don't need to check the weather on my watch. I've already been outside and I've enjoyed the quiet for a little bit. It's also encouraging my children to not need me first thing in the morning. And with it being winter, they're going to be awake because the sun gets up later. So we need to go back to the things that are simple but hard.
If you look at the blue zones, the greatest collection of 100-plus-year-old people on the planet, all over the planet, including California,
Me,
right?
California.
But if you look at the blue zones, all the things that make a blue zone blue, none of those are for sale today. It's things you do, right? It's all the foundational elements that we've forgotten 3,000, 30,000, or 300,000 years ago, as I like to use those references. One rule I use for my life is, if the food that I'm eating did not exist 100 years ago, I don't eat it. How about that? If it did not exist 100 years ago, why are you putting that in your body? What kind of chemical concoction must that be? Don't do it. That's one rule that served me well.
What about oranges and bananas? Because those have been modified.
Oh, yeah. Everything's genetically modified, right? The amount of sugar, natural sugar, and artificial sugar we put in our bodies is stratospheric, right? The Macintosh apple, I read a study recently that the traditional Macintosh apples are falling out of favor. There's a genetic variation in our grocery stores called Cosmic. It's an actual variation of apple called Cosmic. So genetically modifying these fruits to maximize the amount of natural sugar contained within them, because they know that the more sugar they pump into our bodies, the faster those products are going to sell. It's gotten so ridiculous to the point where now on Black Friday, here's something you can buy. You can buy a cybernetic implant that you put on your body that serves what purpose? Glucose monitoring, probably a sensible idea. But in addition to that, some of these cybernetic implants, Borg reference included deliberately, give you the ability to pump additional insulin into your body so you can enjoy that chocolate cake. How about skip the chocolate cake? This makes no sense. Our industry has convinced you that you must purchase and pay subscription fees for a cybernetic implant so that you can consume more of the sugar-infused food that they sell you. What are we doing?
Well, my stepdad had several heart transplants, and his last one before he passed away was because of them not cleaning the site well enough.
Yeah.
Thinking about this, and this was a medical professional that did not clean the site well enough. How clean are we making sure before we're putting on us?
People aren't even giving it any thought, and a lot of folks don't know that many of these products are country specific. you cannot leave the United States. If you're using one of these devices, in many cases, I had a friend who just went through this. They left the United States and it stopped working. They were in Mexico. They go to the doctor in Mexico. The doctor in Mexico says, yeah, of course, those don't work outside the United States. They not only want you to hit that lever to get more food pellets by using these cybernetic implants, they want to put you in a cage. They don't want to allow you to leave the United States because they want you to eat the food sold here. That's how they get their money. So while my friend was in Mexico, they had to buy a Mexican version of the product. And well, that version of the product doesn't work with your US phone. Oh no, you got to have a Mexican phone to activate it because if they can trace the VPN to an outside the United States source, the product doesn't work. They want you in the cage. Yes, it really is that bad.
But let's go back for this because I actually was talking to my brother-in-law about this yesterday with Thanksgiving. It was like, I wish I had one of those to see where my glucose was after everything I ate. So I was trying to explain what it was. And his wife walked in the room. She was able to help get him on the same page. But he's still looking at me like, what?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we play pickleball and we see them all the time. And it's not for people who are diabetic. He's really, it's crazy. But let's bring this back to going back to the foundation. Are you being mindful? You can have that chocolate cake. For me, because I have little vultures in my family that have my DNA, the children, you know what I'm talking about. Anyone who is a parent, a grandparent, aunt, uncle, you've been around children and you have a piece of chocolate cake, they come out of nowhere, right?
Yes.
Vultures.
Yes.
And we raised them to be in our family. But it's nice because I'll get the one bite that I want and then I can share.
Yes.
But it's that reminder of, why do I actually need this? Especially if you're craving chocolate. Usually it's because you actually need what's in almonds. Crazy,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But why am I craving this? Is this an emotional response? What's happening for me emotionally? What's happening within my body? Am I craving this and can I have this? And when my body says, okay, I'm good now, will I stop? It's getting back to that, really tuning in with yourself. I love how at the beginning we talked about how you said it's more important to slow down in order to be intentional and then speed up.
Oh,
That's
no.
something I've been really focusing on as my health has needed it. I've been doing really well until this morning, and I had this conversation with my husband. So on the way home from Thanksgiving, I was looking up something on my phone and my van kept wanting to connect to it. And the kids were playing a movie because it was late enough, let them zone out for a little bit, and then they'll leave us alone on the drive home. I promise we don't have as much screen time as it sounds like we do. I very much limit it. They're very locked down on their time limits. But anyway, they were watching a movie. My phone kept trying to connect. So I'm just going to try out Bluetooth. Problem solved. I was trying to find a back windshield wiper for my van. So my husband was there to make sure it was the right size. I forgot to turn it back on. And I go to use his car. And he has a Tesla. So I could barely get in the car, but then it wouldn't let me drive away. And I was in a hurry because I needed to get to the grocery store and back before a meeting. Fight or flight response was happening. I just couldn't think clearly. My daughter's in the car and she could tell that I'm getting frustrated. I think she saw me doing this a little harder. Plus I was wearing gloves and it wasn't quite getting my fingers. And finally I was like, okay, she's noticing. So like she must be seeing this happening. I just thought it was curious that she noticed because my son's the one who notices stuff like that first. He's very in tune like that, like I am. I finally told her, okay, wait, I'll be right back. I kicked off my shoes. I yelled at my husband, it's not working. And he's like, just use my phone. I said, okay, but do you want mine? And he looked at my phone and he's like, oh, it's just your Bluetooth. And here, I'll walk you out to the car to make sure. I got up to here with my frustration. I'm glad that I worked on my anger enough that it wasn't even anger, it was just frustration. And I couldn't think straight. And it's that reminder that I've been working on is breathe, get back in my body somatically, and then I can think straight. And I like that it happened this morning because it gave me that idea of these are my triggers that I still need to work on. This is something that I still need to work on. Now I know what I need to work on for the week. It's that reminder that when we have stuff like this happens, okay, now you know what you need to work on. So how does that go more into everybody else who's listening?
I think, just as a point of clarification, the book that I'll be working on will be entitled Slow Down, Do More.
Love
And what
it.
it's meant to imply is don't speed up. One of the challenges I think we have in our modern world is people are moving too fast and change is happening too fast. And we were not built for this. We weren't. And anxiety all time high, depression all time high. So as I reflect back uh, on the people that have had the most impact on our world, as I reflect on the friends of mine who I feel have had the most impact on me and the world around them, one commonality that I observe that they all share. This is very difficult to say in our current cultural environment, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm not suggesting they move in slow motion, but they do less. When Steve Jobs showed up to do a thing, he didn't show up with a task list. He grabbed his key manager and went for a walk. I have friends who have similar practices. Instead of having 22 things to do today, maybe you should have 3. Instead of focusing on the urgent, focus on the important. It is a cliche, I know, but it is true. When great tragedy occurs in life, you realize how unimportant everything we're doing is. You could take everything that is urgent in your life and just push it right off your desk. And if you were to do that, yes, what's important will acquire your complete focus. For those important tasks to be done correctly, they might require your complete focus. When you're not really focused on what you're doing, it's not always done right. The person sitting on the other side of the table does not always receive the attention that they deserve in that moment. And all kinds of problems arise from those interactions. So slow down, do more means, in fact, do less, right? But focusing on what's important. And that accomplishes more.
Actually thinking about this the other day, the people who have had the biggest impact on my life and that I'm drawn to, it's that like the moth to the flame type of drawn to. They are the type who slow down and really get to know you in a conversation.
Yes.
And I love being around people like that. They don't have all of this stuff going on. They're not over there on their phone checking the latest score. They are really striving to get to know you on a deep level, your hidden passion, your hidden talent, the things that maybe you don't even know about yourself. And they will give you the time to answer, to really start to say the lie that you tell yourself and go, oh, no, wait. Sometimes it's not quite a lie. It's, I haven't realized that I've healed this and this is no longer a thing. But they will give you that time to bring that out and analyze, and that slow conversation that is just so beautiful, so impactful. And sometimes we're too busy in our head, on our phone, thinking about our task list, what's next, that we're not even giving ourselves time when that person is presented in front of us.
Yes. I have 14 email boxes, and you have all the social media channels have their own email box, and someone calls you and says, didn't you get my message? Okay. Which of the 28 different boxes did your message go to, and why should it be a priority for me right now? We have to slow down because we are suffering the effects of this. In addition, we're not doing the important work. The kids aren't getting the attention, the love. As a parent, it's our obligation to pour love into our children. If we don't do that, that has ramifications that live on for their entire lives. If we skip this, we're creating more problems for ourselves, which is not great, to say the least.
This is something else I've been thinking about. So you're gonna pick your brain some more. Where did the 40-hour work week come from in the United States and why? Especially, I've said this so many times. I started working with stay-at-home moms who wanted to go back to work. It's crazy how much more they can accomplish in a week compared to when they weren't moms, because they've learned how to shove it all in there.
Yeah.
And how many people are working 40 hours a week, but they're not really working it. They've already done their work. So they're playing solitaire on the computer.
Yeah.
They're playing Minesweeper. Remember my generation? Chess. What else was originally on the computer? You know those games.
Angry
Now
Birds.
it's social media.
Angry Birds.
Yes, Angry Birds. Oh my goodness, that's throwback. Or they're talking at the water cooler. They'll bring in their checkbook to balance back in the day.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
going way back here.
I have that.
Some people are using Quicken. They're doing everything else because they've already accomplished their work. So why are we making people work 40 hours a week when it does not do anything for their wellness? Let's be honest. Let's put a gym close by that they can go to instead, or spend time with family, or let's do some wellness training here. Then we work 80 hours a week, 90 hours a week.
The good news is AI is going to fix this.
Yeah.
That's one of the facets. And AI will be the reason why they call it creative destruction is because it'll be beautiful and horrible at the same time. We're looking at 10 years of complete devastation of companies and industries. It's going to be 10 years of the birth of new companies and new industries that go along with that.
Jobs will be lost. They'll have to go back to
Yes.
school, switch career.
Yeah. So AI will remove the mundane. If it can be automated, it will. And AI will shift the dynamics. The 40-hour work week, of course, came from the factory, came from shift culture, first shift, second shift, third shift, 8 hours of each shift, 24 hours in the day. That's no coincidence. And AI will fix that because if your organization cannot adapt or refuses to adapt, it will be destroyed, period. In the next
It's like
10
railroad time.
Yes.
The people who did not adapt. They're
Yeah.
not around today.
The buggy whips are gone. They will, in the next 10 years, be destroyed. New companies, new opportunities, new millionaires, billionaires, and trillionaires will emerge to take advantage of these opportunities in the market. The 40-hour work week will dissipate. In some cases, it'll make sense. Maybe it won't. Service, product, manufacturing, whatever the case may be. The good news is it'll provide the flexibility that many people seek, that some, in fact, demand, but it'll give us options to meet our needs with our family, our friends, our situation, our environments. We'll have more flexibility. The challenge there, at least in the interim, I had a friend tell me recently their kids graduated from college, good degrees, pursuing good work, and they all got jobs, but they found that they had to apply on company websites. For every 100 applications they filled out, they got one interview. It was a 100-to-1 ratio in terms of how many applications they had to fill out to get an interview. They all got jobs, but wow, was it a lot of work. There's a lot of chaos and tumult in this space currently. But when you find the right position for you, and they found positions, they're great, perfectly fit for those positions. That's the benefit following the effort.
That's the hard thing, is that so many people have turned to AI to read resumes.
Right.
So people who are actually qualified, perfect for the position, are being passed over because of the AI machine and what's been put in there. That's why there's a couple episodes before this where we talk about networking and how you need to know people. It's about who you know in this world. And it hasn't changed even with social media out there. Who
But
you know.
if you're a CEO looking for a CEO job, you should not be filling out job applications. It's about networking. If you're a CEO that hasn't embraced AI, maybe it's time for you to go golfing because you ain't going to make it.
Yeah.
Wherever you land, if you don't embrace what AI is bringing, the creative destruction that is bringing, if you can't embrace it, get out. You ain't going to make it. The
It's
company's not going to
cheaper
make
than
it.
having people. And you still, on the flip side of this, you still need to have people because AI can give you some ridiculous crap. It's
Yes.
almost like it has a different personality when it switches to a different server. And you have to like, no, this is where we're at. This is what we were talking about. You already have to know your stuff when you're putting what you want into AI. You need to know whether, okay, you're on the right track, or what you're giving me, computer, is crap right now. Let's try again. And that even goes back to checking with your body. Are you giving your body crap? Are
Yes.
you giving yourself crap thoughts? In general, being mindful of things. Where is your time going? Are you giving all of this time to a company that does not care about you and will replace you as soon as you put yourself in an early grave? Maybe you should think about things like this.
Well, the other good news I'll share when it comes to AI is human beings are naturally discriminatory. Fight or flight, take your pick. Being discriminatory is not necessarily a good thing. There certainly have been many horrible things that have come from it, but it is our nature to be discriminatory. While we are currently fascinated by these AI creations. It'll be a very short period of time before we are, despite the technology, able to quickly discern what is real and what is not. These models are going to force us to amplify that effort to every phone call, every email, every video. The first question we're going to ask ourselves is this real? Does it deserve my attention? And so, as a friend of mine recently described, he believes the AI era will be the most human era yet to come because we are going to be forced to naturally seek out the human. If we want a restaurant that has human waiters, we're going to seek out a restaurant that has human waiters. And I'm not saying it won't be AI, robots, and whatnot, but we're going to be forced to make the deliberate choice. One of the reasons I love Apple, I'm not bashful about it. I love Apple Computer. Every time I faced a technical challenge, I'm able to get a human being on the phone within 2 minutes. And I'm talking to a human being who works, if it's a big problem, they work for months and they solve the problem. And I promise you, I give Apple as much money as I can. It's Black Friday. I'm going to give Apple some more money. American Express is the same way. There's always a human being available to me. I'll pay American Express all the reasonable interest they charge. No, that's me. AI will amplify this. This could be the most human period in our existence because we are naturally discriminatory. That's the good news in this case, which is a very unique case.
There's a book that I just read. I'm very excited for when the second one comes out. Her whole world is turned upside down in this book because everything she believes is wrong. So I'm very excited to see, okay, how does she try to repair damaged relationships and everything else and repair herself? How does she save her sister? She went down this path to save her sister, to find out the path she was on was wrong. It's very interesting.
What's the title of the book?
Oh,
I want this book.
Direwolf is the title of the book. And a friend got me into it. And there are so many books like this. We all have stories where we have been so wrong about someone, something, the stories we tell ourselves. So discernment and intention. This is something that I've really learned in my marriage. My husband has been the best teacher about this because there are things that come out of my mouth that are so wrong. And I'm like, that's not actually how I meant it. And he's like, I understand your intention. What you're trying to say is this. Listen to that, not what came out of my mouth. He's like, okay, we're good. Thankfully, right? And we've been in this 16 years. He's my best friend because he's shown me that I've been able to heal my own trauma and stuff from my past. And I've been able to give that to other people as well. It's made such a huge difference. And it's something that we're raising our children with is really understand somebody's intention. Where are they coming from and why? The word that I don't use enough is definitely discernment. Maybe that'll be next year's word. I'll have to think about that some more. We try to have a word of the year that we focus on. And that is important with all of these things is discernment. What is the point of whatever I am spending my time on? The thoughts in my head, social media, videos that I'm watching. And what's very interesting is the people who really stand out and make it in businesses are the ones who are not looking around to see what everybody else is doing. They're the ones that are following their passion. If they weren't, we would still be with horses and buggies. We would still be taking the train, but you can only go on that track. You can't go off the track. And horses, you can only do so much with them. Horses are great. I love horses. I was a horse person as a child. I still get excited when I'm around horses. And hopefully you are too with the hat. You better be into horses. Otherwise, I don't know what we're doing here.
There's a story behind everything.
Oh, good. I love it. But it's that reminder that we should not be following the crowd, especially if they're not doing things that align with us. It goes back to what we were saying in all of this is the slowing down. I like the reminder that it's not to speed up because that is
Right.
mine. I will speed up and then I burn out and I have to do it again. And what I'm realizing as a coach that loves all things wellness and that really tries to use that toolkit when I'm coaching other people is that I need to make sure I am deeply taking care of myself in order to care for my clients. be the best parent. I want to be the best wife, the best member of my community. I'm working on a nonprofit. If I want to make sure that I'm not putting on the mask of everything's fine when it isn't, what am I doing to care for myself?
It's a concept that a lot of folks have trouble with. As Albert Einstein said, if it weren't for time, everything would happen all at once. What a lot of folks have trouble wrapping their mind around is this idea that time is a weapon, time is a tool, time can actually be on your side. We live in a culture that tells you you should have everything right now. I heard a 22-year-old on a post a little while ago actually make the statement, if I'm not a billionaire by the age 25, I'm going to kill myself. But we're teaching our children through this imagery, which is horrible. They should have everything right now. And it's wrong. It's not what was intended. Most overnight success stories are decades long. We see the final moment where they achieve their success, where they grasp the trophy. But what we don't see is the 17 years that preceded that, where they're in the swimming pool morning after morning after morning, or whatever the challenge is that they're trying to overcome. Those folks who had the endurance to run the long road understand it, but many of us lack it. We give up after a single year. We give up after 5 years. I've been married 31 years, which feels like just a moment, right? But they give up so easily because they expect to have everything right now. No, guess what? If that is your passion, and it takes you 10 years or 20 years or 30 years to realize your passion, I promise you, on that day, you will be thankful that you did not surrender. Of course, a slow walk all the while, but on the day you achieve your goal, because guess what? Let's take the opposite. Let's pretend you give up, right? And you pick the butcher, baker, candlestick maker option. Make fun of them. Notwithstanding, butchers are good people. And bakers too. But if you pick those options
I've
instead,
made candles with my oldest.
oh, candles are great. Okay, you got me. But if you surrender and you live a life of
Mediocrity.
you're not able to accomplish the dreams, the goals, right? The passions that you had within you. What kind of tragedy is that? I'd much rather strive for 30 years towards a goal and not achieve it than to give up on day one and never pursue it. Time is a weapon and a tool. Don't forsake it.
What about the other way? If we had our overnight success, would we be able to continue that flame to
It's
keep it
equally
going? Are we
equally
ready for
sad.
it?
The expression I use for someone who sees success, Gary Coleman, right? Young actors, right? It's also a cliche that folks who achieve too much success early in life are tragically lost. The expression I use is, I'm sorry that your success has come so easily for you. I wish you had more struggle. I wish it took more time, because in so doing, you can become the person that you were intended to be. And we see too many times they get these child actors or these folks who have success so early in life, they turn to drugs, they turn to addiction, and they crash and burn. And everyone's seen this, countless examples. And it's very sad. I would pray that they would be burdened by an additional passion, an additional goal, something else to achieve in terms of how we raised our boys. We have 2 boys. It's also important to remember, particularly when it comes to boys, that you cannot remove the burdens from their life. Just like the caterpillar becoming the butterfly, right? When it comes to young men, if you don't give them the opportunity of struggle, you don't help them become the men they were intended to be. And girls are a different story. We didn't raise girls. I won't talk about that subject. Struggle is important. We should not rob our children of that. And that doesn't mean join 5 different soccer clubs all at once.
You can be the safety net, but don't take away the natural consequences.
Yes.
It's important
Yes.
because we all know many adults that have been babied their whole life. And aren't they a
Yeah.
joy to be around? And I mean that
Oh,
with
yeah.
all the dripping sarcasm possible.
Yeah.
Sarcastic people are my soul friends. But we all know people like that. They struggle in their life. And I do not envy them. It is so hard for them because they don't connect well with other people. And it's honestly not fair for them how they were raised. And they're still babies in so many ways because of it. And it's so sad. And then you see people who are the top of their game, they're the ones who really struggle to make it through. And for anybody who struggles with letting go with your children, talk to me. I have a parenting coach class. I can help you with that. But also, I get this every Mother's Day. We started it during COVID, and we get a packet of painted lady butterflies. It comes in little containers.
Live.
Uh-huh. Fillers.
Great.
And you get to
Nice.
watch the whole thing. You cannot help them along. You wait until they are butterflies. And sometimes, once in a while, it happens where you can glue them on if they fall off. But usually, those are the ones that don't even make it. And if you try to pick them up with your fingers and I've accidentally squeezed them and they're gone, like they have to do this work on their own. And it's
Yes.
amazing to witness it and to then be able to release the butterflies. We do it every year. Our kids love it and it's so much fun. And it is a great reminder that we all are those caterpillars and we're all struggling. You are a serial entrepreneur, so you eat lots of cereal, but it's also the reminder that we can have one passion and it can come to its completion. And then another one will come in its place.
The passion is around, of course, releasing beauty into the world. I love creating companies. I hate scaling them. As soon as you have to hire MBAs and run spreadsheets, I lose interest. I like to stay in the creative phase of the business.
Know where you're at. That's important.
Right.
Know where your skill set is and isn't.
I don't have a bunch of $100 million exits because I don't scale. Right? I exit before that point, which is what makes me happy. My brand is weirdo, and I understand who I am. I'm a little bit different than most, and that's okay with me. One of the gifts that I think a parent might consider giving to their children is the gift of poverty. Now, I'm not saying don't feed them or don't clothe them or don't house them. Well, what I'm suggesting is if you take the extreme example, I've met a half a dozen billionaires. I know a lot of high net worth individuals, and most of them are miserable people. But that's a separate subject. I've asked many of them the same question. How many cases have you found where you can dump $25 million on a 25-year-old and had a good result? With very few examples, less than a handful. Every one of these individuals has told me that no, that's a catastrophe. Dumping $25 million on a 25-year-old will destroy them. 99.9 times out of 100. Why? It's because you're removing the struggle, not allowing men to become men, not allowing women to become who they were intended to be. That $25 million is a lottery ticket, and the track record on lottery tickets is clear. Most of them go bankrupt very quickly. What I'm suggesting, when I suggest parents should give the gift of poverty to their children, is you don't spoil them. You help them, you provide advice, you provide opportunity, let them make their mistakes. But as parents, it is not our role to raise millionaires into the world. It is our role to raise adults into the world who will then take their journey. Don't rob them of that chance. That's really what that is intended to say.
I think that goes along with letting them explore their interests. Now is the time when they should be doing those things because it's so much harder when they're adults, when they have to pay all the bills and everything else. If they're interested in a certain thing, does Parks and Rec have it? Can you see if there are other kids that are already doing it and they can just kind of join in? Are there places that do it for free or lower cost? For my oldest, he was interested in soccer for a while. We did it through Parks and Rec instead of a big
Yes.
expensive club
Yes.
because there was a smaller investment there. It would not hurt as much if he was not interested anymore. And if we find out that a child is more interested, then we'll up level our game. We did the same with my husband and I joining pickleball. We started with lower quality things. And as we decided, no, we're going to be obsessed with this, we got more expensive stuff and we got more into it. And what's really helpful is our kids are not as interested in sports. So my husband and I have more time for it. It's that reminder that we don't have to put a ton of money into things, but we can allow them to explore it. Take them to the library. Are there books that are on that topic? They don't need to go to a bookstore and
Yes.
buy the books. They, especially once they're in middle school and high school, are there extra classes that they can take on the subject? It's a little bit harder when they're in elementary school. I'm very excited for next year when my oldest gets into middle school because then the robotics clubs are around.
As you do this, you teach them money management principles. They're watching us. They're going to
Yeah,
do what
our
we're going
kid said, "Oh, it's okay, you'll just buy me a new one." Excuse me?
to.
No,
Right.
you mistreated
Right.
it. That's not happening.
Yes. So that's important.
Yeah.
Love, poverty. The third thing we were assured to give our children is discipline. We kept our kids on a very short leash. Lord knows this public schools will not. When I went to school, you could still get wrapped on the bottom with a paddle. That faded out. But today's schools are forbidden from disciplining children. Teachers can be fired instantly.
It's hard
Discipline
when it's a
children.
bully.
It's gone out of control. So where are children to acquire their discipline? I hope it's not at the hands of a police officer. That's a little too late. And I never got into trouble when I was a kid. Never, ever. So it's the parents' role to discipline children, as my wife likes to say, and I'll have to edit my language. It's our role as parents not to release jerks into the world. And if jerks are what we release into the world, that's on us. Parents should be held accountable for that.
I love that, and it reminds me of a conversation that I had with my oldest. He's at that age where I can talk to him more instead of just having it be, "Yes, no, here, look in this direction." I was talking to him about when you are having negative self-talk, whose voice is it in your head? The problem is, for most people, it's their parents. So it might be my voice in your head, especially with there being 4 of you. It's easier to be correcting you all the time instead of pointing out the things you're doing right.
Yes.
So please help me. I want to work on that with you. And please make sure you're doing that for yourself. When we are talking about discipline, this doesn't mean go spank your children by any means. Are you pointing out the things that they're doing right? Are you catching them doing right? The best training you can do is pointing out the things that they're doing right. And with discipline, what you're doing is you're showing them, no, don't do that. Try this instead. So there is a way that you can have a little more gentle parenting. I don't agree with all of gentle parenting, but I think with all things in life, it's where's the happy medium? Because most things need to fall in the medium, and we tend to be an all or nothing type of human being. Think about, are you actively involved in your children's lives? The best way to do that is, first of all, are you taking care of yourself? Are you making sure to tune in with your needs so you're not yelling at your children? Are you showing up as the best person? Are you tuning in with what does my body need food wise? Because then you're already providing the nutrients to your children, which is helping their brain development. Are you making sure that you are spending physical time with them? Like go out and kick a soccer ball around. It's not very
Yes.
expensive to have a soccer ball. Go play tag. That's even cheaper. Are you actively doing things that will impact your wellness and doing it in such a way that you're being that example to impact their wellness as well? Because when you are spending time with them, they will be following your example. They're not going to be getting in as much trouble. The discipline does not look like a capital D anymore. It can be a lowercase d.
You have the benefit of a two-parent household. I was raised by a single mom who was divorced twice. My wife was raised by a single mom who was divorced twice as well. We had no models to go with. We just made it up as we went along.
We went with my husband's parents. We
Right.
used more of their model.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my wife focused on pouring love into the children, and I was the hammer, the disciplinarian, which we took advantage of that benefit of a two-parent system. If you have a single parent, single mom, single dad, they have additional burden. It's much more difficult to accomplish this. However, we are living testimonies that it is possible. It can be done.
Make
so long
sure
as
to
they
build up
recognize
your
that.
village. We forget
Right.
that.
You have a grandfather or a grandmother that can step in. Something that I've long talked about is one of the challenges we face as a culture is we're one of very few cultures who at the age of 18 makes a practice out of kicking kids out of the home. Go to college, get a job, buy a house, buy a car, get married, have kids. Good luck.
All over again.
Right,
Kick the
right.
kids out.
Most other cultures in the world emphasize keeping kids in the home well after marriage, well after their first children, 2, 3, 4 generations living together as a cultural practice, which makes these very strong communities, right? My wife would have been very happy if our kids lived with us for the rest of their lives, but I campaigned to break this down because in the modern world, houses are expensive. Cars, forget about it. Getting a job, we wonder why young adults facing so many challenges, we're pushing them into a very harsh and
Yes.
cruel world. Good luck, empty nesters, right? It's wrong. We need to stop that. This is not 1950. You can't buy a home with 2 or 3 years salary anymore. You can't buy a car with 1 month salary anymore. Times have changed. So I believe we need to get away from that.
I'm not sure what that will look like with my kids because I was gone at 18. I was always under the assumption that I was going to do that for my kids, but now seeing my friends with older kids and how the ones that are doing the best, they're going to college while still at home. And it's like, huh, well, that will look different if I do that. I could see a few of our kids staying home for that. Yes, especially nowadays. Good luck trying to buy a house, getting a
Right.
job. Apartments are crazy expensive too. It's a very different life. I love visualization. Anybody who hasn't tried it, try it. It's the daydreaming, but with a purpose. It's weird to go back to that because we used to do it as children. That could be a whole nother episode. Those cultures who do that are the ones who take the best care of their aging society.
Yes.
That at all.
Push them into a nursing home as quickly as possible.
And the nursing homes are garbage, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Anybody who has had to look around at nursing homes has complained about it. I have heard it over and over again. And I know several coaches who have switched their pivot into doing that type of work because there is such a huge need. There was one I was talking to last week. She and I went through the coaching program together. She ended up taking her father in, moved him several states away to live with them. And then he ended up needing a nursing home. She is all about caregiving right now and how to strengthen them and all the pieces that are missing. It's amazing to see her become passionate about it because of what she went through. I know so many other people, family members that have done this, and it's hard.
It's unfortunate the private equity vultures have figured out they can make money by acquiring and divesting nursing homes. My brother-in-law's mother has been in the same assisted living facility for 7 years now. And during that 7 years, it has been acquired and divested 5 times.
Wow.
So she's never moved her apartment, but the company that owns that apartment has been through 5 separate companies in 7 years.
Crazy.
With the debt load stacking up, the services provided go down, and price goes up and up with each acquisition / divestiture. So it's a house of cards. It's not pretty. To say nothing of the healthcare system behind that, it's very sad what's going to be happening. There's a case to be made. The baby boomer generation has roughly $87 trillion in assets. You can Google that, 87 trillion. And these capitalist models have their eye on that prize, and they will extract as much of that value as they can while they're able to. It's not a great situation.
And that still goes back to slowing down with all the things,
Yes.
paying
Yes.
attention to your relationships. Even with the topic of slowing down with my children, I don't need to make the decisions that I'm going to kick them all out at 18 because originally, when we were moving into this house, it was we're staying in this until they're 18. Then we're going to kick them all out and downsize, and
Yeah.
we're going to be able to travel and do all these things. If you're looking at this and we're raising children to become adults, they're helping out with chores, they're involved with financial discussions at their level, like with our HVAC system. Okay, here's what we're looking at with replacing it. What do you guys think? What are your opinions? It was really fun to get them involved, especially because they went more the emotional route for some of them. It's really funny. But It's that idea that maybe they're going to be contributing to the mortgage payment
Right.
or rent if we pay off our house in time. And it'll be a community within here, and we're still going to be able to travel while they're in school. Who
Right.
knows? But it's that slowing down and paying attention to what's in front of me right now. And I can visualize some of the things to realign myself. But I like that idea of slowing down, being more present with where I'm at and what I'm feeling,
Sure.
because so many of our thoughts come up, our feelings come up, and then we put a thought to it.
We,
So,
we
what's going on?
we were raised to race to retirement and then slow down. Get to 65 or whatever that year is, and then your life can begin. What?
And
What
that's
sense?
when everybody's body falls apart. It's
Yes.
so interesting to watch
Yes.
because I'm now at the age where people will talk to me about those things, where before I was too young. And it's very interesting how many people can't do all the things they were planning on because they were putting all of this off until this
Right.
point in time.
If you're going to live into your 70s, 80s, and 90s, if you're blessed to be able to do so, that's an entirely different time scale. It's well regarded that if you completely unplug, you will fall over. You need something to do, something to keep you busy, actively engaged. If you're working on that time scale, what slow down can mean is don't put off travel. Travel with your children if you're able to.
Be dialing it up more.
As
But
part of
yes,
education.
we travel with them.
Right.
And we do it where we all are studying up on where we're traveling to. So we know some of the stuff because that's something that we forget is we're too busy trying to get to this destination that we're not enjoying getting there. All of the excitement, the build up,
Yes.
what we're learning along the way, and how much fun it is to reflect on it. Because when we reflect on it, suddenly where we went doesn't have mosquitoes,
Right.
right? We're not remembering how tight the airplane ride was. Maybe it was a little
Yes.
bumpy. We forget those things. So it can sometimes be so much more fun to look back on it than the actual experience of it in itself.
Yes. It sounds like you're on an incredible journey. As I tell most parents at that point in their lives, enjoy it. These are the magical years when they're still so young. I've been told recently that your ability to influence your children after the age of 11 drops by 75%.
Yep.
So
That's why
you
we have a lot of conversations with the oldest now.
take advantage.
And that's why I'm starting to have more one-on-one time with my daughter too, because she's at that perfect age where the younger two are
Yeah.
still spend time with them, but it's more at their level and what they want. Where with the older two, I can choose a topic to talk to them about, and they're more receptive than the younger
Yes.
one. So it's very
But-
different parenting as they get older.
And it's important to have these conversations too. The folks sharing human to human as this race of humanity continues to assess these things and evaluate the options. And thank goodness for social media to be able to share these ideas. These things did not happen, but now we have these tools available to us. So someone in Bangladesh can enjoy this episode, and intercultural exchanges are tremendously valuable. So yes, it's a blessing, social media, in some respects.
Yes. And with that in mind, please share this episode. We all know people who are struggling with all the topics that we talked about. And I love that you brought up the blue zone. That is something that I've been working on myself is how can I have more of that in my life? Because that data has been there for decades
Yes.
now.
Yeah.
How do we make sure to have that in our lives, especially in a society that is encouraging us to live faster and faster? How do we remember to slow down and to remember that if we are acting like it is a race, we're going to die sooner
Yes.
or we're going to live a long time miserably.
Right.
And so we're going to be miserable longer.
Yeah.
So for me, it's remembering that this isn't a sprint and it's not even a marathon. This is a walk, sometimes more like a
Yes.
hike. Yeah.
I love that.
Well, thank you. And that is a great reminder. And that definitely goes in with the business and nonprofit work as well, because anything that we're passionate about, it's remembering that part. I really appreciated this.
I wrote that down. This is not a sprint nor a marathon. It is a walk with a friend.
Yes. Yeah,
It's great.
I think that's one of the most important parts of all the dimensions of wellness is social.
Yes,
Thank you.
this is awesome. Thank you
Okay,
for the
so when
work
is
you
your book
do.
coming out that you're writing?
Oh my gosh. It's going to be a little while longer. I'm still knocking these things around in my head. I got a couple ideas for these books. The Slow Down, Do More, I think, is turning out to be more important at the given cultural age, but still in the idea stage.
Okay. Where can we go to get on a newsletter? Where's your website? Where can we find you?
Thank you for asking. I am everywhere an old man shouldn't be: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, X, as well as LinkedIn, right? Bernie Youngblood, search for it. Unboxing the Office podcast, the gratuitous spokesperson for Hot Logic, the alternative to the microwave, because health and wellness is a thing. So, yeah, I'm too many places, perhaps.
Well, it sounds like you have something for whatever platform the person wants to be
Yes,
on, which is perfect.
yes.
And what's your website?
So, think-partners.com is my agency. The Hot Logic, my favorite client, hotlogic.com, and unboxing the office podcast.com, which my podcast speaking to corporate culture.
I love it. I'm going to have to check that one out. Thank
Those
you
are
again.
few. Thank you for bringing responsible adults into the world.
Yeah, it's fun. I've been getting more and more glimpses of what they're going to be like as adults, and I'm getting very excited and feel like, yay, I'm on the right track. Just
Well,
seeing them around other people and how they're naturally responding. It's like, oh, yay, they're
as Elon Musk once said, the most likely result is the most ironic.
true.
It's
Well,
a
thank
beautiful
you.
journey. Thank you. You're awesome, Autumn. I appreciate the work you do. I will pray for you as you raise young children.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope that you found the answers that you needed and you had some amazing aha moments. Please share this episode with others because it helps us align ourselves and then better align the world so that we can seek the healing that we really are looking for. As part of the legal language, I am a certified life coach with a bachelor's in applied health. That is what I am leaning on for this. This is general advice. Take it as such. See you in the next episode.